Oil tankers keep moving, warships keep closing in, and the narrow stretch of water that connects the Persian Gulf to the rest of the world is once again becoming the most dangerous place on the planet. The Strait of Hormuz, a choke point through which nearly one-fifth of all globally traded oil must pass, is now the stage for a tense and fast-evolving standoff as U.S. naval forces maneuver closer to Iran, and Tehran responds not with matching firepower, but with a very different kind of threat, one designed to turn America's greatest strengths into potential weaknesses. For decades, the Strait of Hormuz has been a symbol of fragile balance. It is narrow, crowded, and economically vital. Any disruption there would ripple through global energy markets within hours, raising fuel prices, shaking stock exchanges, and testing governments far beyond the Middle East. That reality is what makes every movement in the Strait so consequential. As U.S. warships increase their presence, the stated goal from Washington is deterrence, showing strength to prevent Iran from taking aggressive steps, particularly toward nuclear weapons development. But deterrence cuts both ways, and Iran's response suggests it has little interest in confronting the U.S. Navy on its own terms. Rather than attempting to match American aircraft carriers, cruisers, and destroyers ship for ship, Iran has doubled down on asymmetric warfare. This approach accepts a basic imbalance of power and seeks to exploit it creatively. Instead of large, expensive platforms, Iran emphasizes speed, stealth, numbers, and surprise. The logic is straightforward. A $10 billion aircraft carrier is a powerful symbol, but it is also a high-value target. If a weaker force can threaten it cheaply and unpredictably, the strategic equation changes. At the center of this strategy is the Zolfaghar-class fast attack craft, often described by Iranian media as a ghost boat. These vessels are small, fast, and designed to be hard to detect on radar. Some versions are capable of briefly submerging, allowing them to hide from view before re-emerging at speed. Armed with torpedoes or anti-ship missiles, they are optimized for shallow waters like those of the Strait of Hormuz. While no single Zolfaghar boat would stand a chance against a U.S. destroyer, that is not the point. Their real power lies in numbers and coordination. Swarm tactics are the cornerstone of this approach. Instead of one decisive strike, dozens of small boats could rush a target simultaneously from multiple directions. Defending against such an attack is far more complex than intercepting a single missile or aircraft. Advanced navies rely on layered defenses, radar, electronic warfare, close-in weapon systems, but those systems can be overwhelmed if threats arrive at once, low to the water, and from unexpected angles. Even if most attackers are destroyed, the mere possibility that one could get through forces commanders to slow down, spread out, and operate more cautiously. Iran has spent years refining this concept, watching how the U.S. Navy operates and tailoring its doctrine accordingly. Exercises in the Persian Gulf routinely feature large numbers of fast boats maneuvering aggressively around mock targets. These drills are not just theater, they are signals. They say that Iran understands its limitations and has chosen a strategy that turns geography and innovation into advantages. This philosophy extends beyond boats. Iran has dramatically expanded its drone warfare capability, claiming the induction of 1,000 drones into its combat structure. Drones offer many of the same benefits as fast attack craft. They are relatively cheap, can be deployed in large numbers, and can overwhelm defenses through sheer volume. Some are designed for surveillance, others for direct attack. In a crowded and contested environment like the Strait of Hormuz, drones add another layer of complexity for any force operating there. Perhaps the most striking symbol of this evolution is Iran's deployment of its first naval drone carrier, the Shahid Bagheri. Converted from a civilian container ship, it now serves as a floating base for unmanned aerial vehicles and missile boats. From a distance, it looks unremarkable, blending in with commercial traffic. Up close, it represents a significant shift. By using a converted civilian vessel, Iran lowers costs, increases flexibility, and complicates targeting decisions for adversaries. The Shahid Bagheri can reportedly launch dozens of drones, extending Iran's reach across the strait and beyond. Against this backdrop, the United States continues to frame its military buildup as defensive. President Trump and senior defense officials have described the movement of carrier strike groups into the region as a precautionary measure aimed at reinforcing deterrence and preventing Iran from advancing toward a nuclear weapon. From Washington's perspective, showing strength reduces the likelihood of conflict by convincing Tehran that escalation would be disastrous. But narratives diverge sharply here. Trump has repeatedly claimed that previous U.S. strikes severely damaged Iran's nuclear program, setting it back significantly. Iranian officials counter that while facilities may have been hit, their overall defense posture and deterrence strategy remain intact and non-negotiable. They argue that military pressure only strengthens their resolve and justifies further investment in unconventional capabilities. Iranian commanders have been blunt in their rhetoric, warning against what they call gunboat diplomacy. In their view, the presence of U.S. carriers and destroyers is not a neutral act but an attempt at intimidation. They insist that any attack on Iranian territory or forces would trigger a broad response across land, sea, and air. This is not just posturing. Iran's network of regional allies and proxy groups gives it multiple avenues for retaliation, from missile strikes to disruptions of shipping lanes. The danger lies in how quickly miscalculation could turn into open conflict. The Strait of Hormuz is narrow, crowded with civilian vessels and saturated with military assets. Drones buzz overhead, fast boats patrol close to shore, and large warships maneuver carefully through tight channels. In such an environment, a single incident, a collision, a misidentified target, a warning shot gone wrong, could escalate before diplomats have time to intervene. This is why the current moment feels especially precarious. On one side, the world's most powerful navy operates under the assumption that visibility and strength will maintain order. On the other, a regional power bets that stealth, speed, and numbers can offset raw power and create enough uncertainty to deter attack. Both sides believe their approach prevents war. History suggests that when competing deterrence strategies collide in confined spaces, the margin for error shrinks dramatically. The global stakes are enormous. Any sustained disruption in the Strait of Hormuz would immediately affect energy prices worldwide. Countries far removed from the Middle East would feel the impact at gas pumps and in heating bills. Markets would react sharply, and political leaders would face pressure to respond, even if they have little direct influence over events in the region. For now, both sides continue to signal strength while stopping short of direct confrontation. Warships move, drones fly, and statements are issued. Beneath it all is a shared understanding that once the first shot is fired, control becomes much harder to maintain. The Strait of Hormuz has always been a flashpoint, but with ghost boats, drone carriers, and carrier strike groups converging, it has become a testing ground for modern warfare doctrines and a reminder of how fragile global stability can be. As this standoff unfolds, the world is watching closely, aware that the balance between deterrence and disaster is thinner than ever. If you want to keep up with developments like this and get deeper breakdowns of the forces shaping global events, hit the subscribe button for more future uploads.